I had always dreamed of my wedding as a joyous and unforgettable occasion, one that would be blessed by many and cherished forever. Never in my wildest imagination did I think it would turn into a complete disaster. The disruption of the ceremony was something I could never forgive, and the unexpected turn of events was caused by none other than a certain individual. My name is Claire, and I am 28 years old. I work at an international company, and my days are usually packed and hectic. Despite my busy schedule, I finally decided to take the next step in my life: marriage. My fiancé Danny is 2 years older than me and happens to be from a business associates company. He has a laid-back personality and an almost childlike innocence, making every moment with him feel lighthearted and comforting. Since I wanted to register our marriage on our anniversary, we decided to hold the ceremony first. My parents, who live overseas due to work, couldn't be here immediately, so I needed to inform Danny's parents about our plans. Danny's parents seemed like ordinary, kind-hearted people. They had played a major role in guiding him academically, helping him get into a top university. Their influence on him was obvious. As we sat together, they listened to our story with warm smiles and exchanged pleasantries. "Are your parents abroad?" his mother inquired. "Yes," I confirmed. "So you're planning the ceremony first and then registering the marriage?" she asked again, giving Danny a quick glance. "That's right," Danny responded. "We discussed it and decided to match the registration with our anniversary." "I see," she replied with an unreadable expression. "I hope everything goes smoothly." Something about her tone made me uneasy. Was there an underlying message behind her words? Though I couldn't quite put my finger on it, I decided to brush it off since she was smiling and continued with the conversation. A little while later, Danny's parents excused themselves. "We'll be in the kitchen for a bit. You two can relax here in the living room," his mother said. Left alone, we browsed through Danny's childhood photo albums and watched some of his old home videos. At some point, I needed to use the bathroom. As I searched for it, I overheard his parents talking in the kitchen. "So what do you think of Claire?" his father asked in a hushed tone. "You mean her?" his mother replied, sounding hesitant. "I have some concerns. Isn't it strange," she continued, "having the wedding before officially registering the marriage?" "That's true," his father agreed, "but since Danny chose her, what can we do?" His mother let out a sigh. "Danny mentioned something before. Didn't that girl drop out of high school?" "She dropped out?" his father repeated, surprised. "In this day and age? That's troubling." "Exactly," she said firmly. "Danny is such a good boy, and yet he's marrying someone with no education or common sense. Dropping out of high school means low earning potential, doesn't it? I'm really worried about this." Their words hit me like a punch to the gut. My heart pounded as I processed what I had just heard. They didn't think highly of me at all. What was I supposed to do? Being judged like this on our first meeting, it was devastating. With my parents living overseas, I had no one to turn to for support. I had hoped to build a good relationship with my in-laws, but after this, it seemed impossible. I hurried back to Danny, my emotions in turmoil. "Danny, your parents don't like me," I blurted out. "What? What makes you say that?" he asked, concerned. "I overheard them in the kitchen," I explained, trying to keep my voice steady. "They think I'm uneducated and lack common sense. Your mother even called me a high school dropout." Danny's eyebrows shot up in shock. "Wait, what? My parents actually said that?" "Yes," I nodded, still shaken. He scratched his head in confusion. "But I never told them anything like that. I specifically said you studied here until high school and then went abroad for further studies. I never once mentioned you dropping out." "I know, but they clearly have the wrong impression," I sighed. "They think I have no education and no career prospects." Danny exhaled sharply, looking frustrated. "I don't think they mean any harm. They're just a bit old-fashioned. Please don't let it get to you. I'll talk to them." Even though he reassured me, I couldn't shake the uneasy feeling in my heart. Danny remained optimistic, but I wasn't so sure. I decided to let it go for now, hoping he would clear things up before the wedding. Months passed and finally the wedding day arrived. I hadn't seen my in-laws since that awkward meeting, but I was determined to focus on the happiness of the day. My relationship with Danny was strong, and I believed nothing could ruin this moment. As I finished getting ready, a sudden knock on the door startled me. Expecting one of the staff, I opened it, only to find my mother-in-law standing there. "Mother?" I asked, sensing tension in her posture. "Is something wrong?" Her eyes scanned the room before she spoke. "Where are your parents?" she demanded. "I wanted to greet them, but I don't see them anywhere. Shouldn't they have arrived early?" I hesitated before answering. "I'm really sorry," I said, "but their flight got delayed. They called this morning to let me know they might be late." Her expression darkened. "Late? For their own daughter's wedding?" she scoffed. "What kind of common sense is that?" I bowed my head slightly. "I truly apologize, but they're traveling from overseas. The delay was beyond their control." She let out a frustrated sigh. "Excuses, excuses. This is exactly what I feared. I knew this wasn't a good idea. And now, on top of everything, even your parents lack basic courtesy. This is what happens when you come from such an uncultured background." Her words stung. Not only was she insulting me, but she was now dragging my parents into it. They had rearranged their schedules and traveled across the world for this special day, yet here they were being ridiculed. A wave of anger surged through me. Yes, it was unfortunate that they were running late, but how was that their fault? Why did she have to be so cruel? But with the ceremony only moments away, I knew causing a scene wouldn't help. Swallowing my pride, I forced myself to respond calmly. "I'm sorry for the inconvenience, but I promise they'll be here as soon as they can," I said, my voice trembling slightly. Without another word, she stormed out of the room, still fuming. Left alone, I took a deep breath and tried to gather myself. I couldn't let this ruin my day. This was supposed to be a celebration of love, my love for Dani, and no matter what, I would not let anything take that away from me. Left alone, silent tears slipped down my cheeks. In the end, my parents couldn't make it to the ceremony, and the reception proceeded as planned. The hall was filled with laughter and cheerful conversations as guests celebrated our union. Though my heart ached with disappointment, I decided to focus on the moment, on the food, the smiles, and the love surrounding me, trying to push aside the bitterness of earlier events. But just as I began to relax, a loud voice cut through the air. "I can't take this anymore." I turned in shock. It was my mother-in-law, her face flushed from alcohol. Was this really happening? She had barely had a drink, yet she was already stumbling. Her glare locked onto me, and before I could react, she began staggering toward me, her voice rising. "Cancel this wedding right now." The once festive atmosphere froze as murmurs spread across the room. Guests turned, whispering among themselves. Unfazed by their stares, my mother-in-law pressed on. "Who do you think you are?" she spat. "A high school dropout with no common sense, daring to marry our Dani? You're completely out of your league." She snatched a glass from the table, emptied it in one gulp, and slammed it down before fixing me with an icy glare. "We don't want someone like you in this family. Get out of our sight." Something inside me snapped. I had endured her judgment, hoping to maintain peace for Dani's sake. But this, public humiliation on my wedding day, I wasn't going to tolerate it any longer. I straightened my posture, meeting her gaze with unwavering resolve. "I understand your concerns," I said, my voice steady despite the fury boiling inside me. "But let me make one thing clear. I did not drop out of high school. I graduated from a university overseas." Gasps rippled through the crowd. My mother-in-law staggered, her intoxication evident as relatives rushed to steady her. But she wasn't done yet. "Don't lie," she shrieked. "If you really graduated from a university overseas, prove it. Show me your diploma." With wild desperation, she reached for my dress, yanking at the delicate fabric. My wedding gown, once pristine, was now disheveled. Before anyone could stop her, she grabbed a bottle from the table and poured its contents over my head. "I will never approve of this marriage," she screamed. I clenched my fists, my patience completely gone. I was about to call for her removal when the doors to the hall burst open. "Sorry for being late," a familiar voice rang out. Heads turned as my sister, Amber, walked in. She strode toward me, embracing me tightly before turning a fiery glare toward my mother-in-law. "I heard everything," she said, her voice cold and cutting. "How dare you treat my sister this way?" Amber crossed her arms. "Why?" "To attend my sister's wedding, of course." My mother-in-law blinked, realization dawning on her. "Your sister." Amber let out an exasperated sigh. Yes, her sister. I'm Amber, the actress. You know, the one in your husband's company's commercials? She shook her head in disappointment. I never imagined you'd be this kind of person. How shameful. The crowd erupted into murmurs. My mother-in-law's expression shifted from shock to horror. Amber continued, her tone unwavering. I'm seriously reconsidering my contract with your husband's company. I don't want my name associated with people like you. My father-in-law, who had remained silent until now, finally spoke, his voice laced with desperation. Wait, please, he begged. If my wife's actions lead to that contract being terminated, my position in the company, please reconsider. Amber turned to him with an icy stare. I don't know, she said flatly. You stood by and let this happen. Why should I spare you? The room fell into stunned silence. My in-laws, once so arrogant, were now at a loss for words. But then my father-in-law's expression twisted with anger. Don't act so high and mighty, he snapped. Why should my life be ruined over this? It's your sister's fault for being so unclear about her background. If she had explained things properly from the start, we wouldn't have misunderstood. I had enough. You never once asked me, I shot back, my voice filled with frustration. You judged me without giving me a chance to speak. And now you want to blame me? He scoffed. If you had told us the truth earlier, I would have treated you better. Not that it matters, if you were truly uneducated, I would have forgiven you anyway. Amber shook her head in disbelief. I can't even reason with you. Both of you are terrible. It's a miracle Danny turned out as wonderful as he is. At that, my father-in-law lunged forward, grabbing Amber's collar. She winced, struggling against his grip. She could use a little pain, my mother-in-law sneered. I don't care if she's famous, she's getting too full of herself. Seeing my sister in pain, rage surged through me, but before I could react, another voice boomed across the hall. Enough. Danny, his voice, filled with fury, cut through the chaos like a knife. My father-in-law flinched, releasing Amber. My mother-in-law took a step back, suddenly looking small under her son's intense gaze. Didn't I tell you? Danny's voice wavered with raw emotion. Claire graduated from university, and even if she hadn't, I love her. This was supposed to be our wedding day, and you've done nothing but try to ruin it. I can't take it anymore. He turned to his mother, his voice filled with finality. I'm done. I'm cutting ties. Danny, you can't be serious. My mother-in-law cried, desperation creeping into her voice. But he didn't turn back. My mother-in-law crumbled, sobbing, while my father-in-law slumped into a chair, looking utterly defeated. The venue staff promptly escorted them outside, restoring peace to the event. Despite everything, we managed to complete the reception. Later that evening, as the guests left, Amber turned to me with an apologetic expression. I'm sorry. I lost my temper and said too much. I shook my head, smiling softly. No, I should be thanking you. You stood up for me when I needed it most. Amber blushed, then pulled me into a warm hug. Claire, congratulations. I hope you'll always be happy. From that day forward, Danny cut off all contact with his parents. They tried reaching out, but he never responded. We didn't tell them where we moved, and honestly, I didn't care. Claire, I'm really sorry about everything, Danny would say, guilt still lingering in his voice. I would smile at him, squeezing his hand. It's okay, I have you. And I'm happy. His eyes softened as he held me close. I'll spend my whole life making sure you stay that way. I leaned into him, heart full. I'm counting on you. With the love of those who truly valued me, I no longer had space in my heart for regret. As we planned our honeymoon in my family's country, I knew one thing for certain. My happiness belonged with the people who cherished me. Thank you for watching. See you in the next video. Stay tuned.